Christine Persichetti. The Jewish holiday of Hanukkah has begun, and while some families are gathering around to light the menorah, others are afraid to because the conflict in Gaza has led to a rise in anti-Semitism. But as Currents News' Katie Vasquez reports, one Jewish man in Manhattan is fighting the Hanukkah hatred by proudly displaying his faith.
It's a holiday tradition Joseph Borgen remembers fondly from his childhood, lighting the menorah every year with his modern Orthodox Jewish family.
When I grew up in my household, it was always a big thing for us to gather around the menorahs, light the candles as a family.
On the first night of Hanukkah, Joseph proudly placed his menorah in the window of his Upper East Side apartment. It's a display of faith he says is just as important as lighting the candles.
Part of the commandment to light a menorah, it's called in Hebrew Persume Nisa, which means publicizing the miracle.
But more Jewish families are opting not to display their menorahs, afraid that the lights in their windows will attract anti-Semitism.
I'm not afraid to display my menorah, and I hope no one else would be.
Since the conflict between Israel and Hamas began on October 7th, hatred towards the Jewish people has skyrocketed. The Anti-Defamation League reported a 388% spike in harassment, vandalisms, and assaults that month alone. And in New York City, the NYPD said crimes against Jewish people increased by 214% in October.
I hate to say it, but you look around the United States, you look around New York, and the imagery of what we saw 75, 80 years ago in Germany it's not so dissimilar.
Joseph isn't a stranger to anti-Semitism. In May of 2021, as he headed to a pro-Israel rally near Times Square, he was attacked.
They kicked me, punched me, hit me with weapons, cursed at me, shouted anti-Semitic chants and slurs at me.
Even now, more than 2 years later, he continues to deal with emotional and physical pain from the incident. But he refuses to let it stop him from celebrating his faith and proudly proclaim his Jewish heritage.
I just don't want what happened that day to change how I live my life.
So Joseph's menorah will stay in his window until the last night of Hanukkah, as he continues to pray for peace for his people. On the Upper East Side, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
New York's Cardinal Dolan and Brooklyn's Bishop Robert Brennan met with survivors of the attack that prompted the terror in the Holy Land. The Commission of Religious Leaders held a meeting last week and heard the survivors' story. On October 7th, the grandmother and her two 15-year-old granddaughters hid in a safe room for more than 30 hours while terrorists tried to get inside. The grandmother's home was ultimately destroyed, leaving the family displaced. At the end of the meeting, the faith leaders laid their hands on the survivors, thanking God for protecting the women during the attack. Pope Francis sent his prayers to those suffering in the Holy Land on Saturday during the unveiling of this year's Vatican nativity scene. The Holy Father said the scene of Christ's birth should compel people to think about the place of Christ's birth. This year's nativity scene was inspired by the first creche St. Francis of Assisi made 800 years ago. Included in the iconic scene with the Holy Family is St. Francis and those who helped create that first nativity. The Vatican also lit up its Christmas tree this weekend. The 80-foot-tall fir is decorated with white flowers. Both the tree and the nativity will remain up until January 7th. Afterwards, the tree will be used to make toys that will be distributed by the Catholic charity Caritas. One community is hosting a holiday tradition from their homeland right here in the Diocese of Immigrants. Our Lady of Mount Carmel-Annunciation Parish in Williamsburg threw a Kucios, a Lithuanian Christmas Eve feast that centers around Christ. And as Katie Vasquez reports, it brought hundreds together around the table.
Packed tables at Our Lady of Mount Carmel-Annunciation Parish in Williamsburg as 200 people celebrated Christmas Eve early.
I like that there's so many food and stuff. You feel happy because, you're with your family. Everybody's, joyful.
They're taking part in a special Lithuanian holiday tradition called Kucios. The dinner held on December 24th includes 12 dishes meant to symbolize the 12 apostles.
So this is Jesus Christ is coming, so we have like 12 apostles that he gathered together, and 12 dishes remind us this tradition.
Christ was at the center of the Mount Carmel celebration from these wafers called plokeles.
It's like the host, and it has been blessed.
To the candles on the table lit by the Lithuanian scouts from the Peace Light, a flame that has been burning in the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem for more than 1,000 years.
It's a symbolic way of sharing the peace of Bethlehem and the celebration of Christmas, and it's meant to bring warmth and light and hope to everyone.
Kucios centers on Christ's birth, but it's also about spending time together with loved ones.
We come together as a family, we come at the table, we share experiences that we had, we ask for forgiveness if we offended somebody, because coming of Jesus Christ is the celebration.
And as the kids put a story on about God's creation of the world and eat the traditional dishes their parents brought, the older generation hopes the meal will be passed on.
We're very proud of our heritage, and we want our children to be proud of it also.
And Kucios will continue for more Christmas Eves to come. In Williamsburg, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
The tablet is trying to make sure every kid in the Diocese of Brooklyn has a bright Christmas this year. They launched their annual campaign earlier this month, and they're off to a great start. So far, they've raised more than $43,000, but they're trying to raise $125,000. So if you want to help them reach their goal, just go online to thetablet.org/brightchristmas. You can also make a check out to Bright Christmas and mail it to LB number 2118, P.O. Box 95,000 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the zip code 19195. Finally tonight, Cardinal Timothy Dolan did some Christmas shopping on Saturday.
How about this little snowflake the little hood house?
Only he wasn't looking for himself. He was buying for families in need at the annual St. Nicholas Project Shopping Day. His Eminence joined more than 100 volunteers from Catholic Charities of New York to shop for coats, sweaters, pajamas, and winter accessories at an Old Navy on the Upper East Side. Cardinal Dolan's picks will help 140 families in the New York area. That's great. And that is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.